The Sandy and Toddcast is a MindgardenMedia podcast in association with
Screw You, Todd
Productions. And it's another new episode of the Sandy and Toddcast. I have no idea what we're doing on this episode because Sandy has not shared it with me.
No, every time that it's my turn to kind of come up with something, I don't really tell you a lot about it, Dad, because I really like to keep it a secret. Although, we both know what's going on with me this week, so... Which we
will get to, and you're going to find out here just momentarily. This is Season 5, Episode 10, She's Got The Vid. It's on the way next on the Sandy and Toddcast.
Hey everyone, it's Aaron, and I want to share with you a glimpse into my podcast, The Witching Hour with Aaron Mazza. Join me as I welcome fascinating and informative guests with each episode. We'll dive into all topics witchy, spiritual, and just plain different. Find me on Facebook, Instagram, and anywhere you listen to your podcasts. The Witching Hour with Aaron Mazza is a MindgardenMedia production.
Broadcasting from two very different yet magical places not found on any map. Get ready to discuss the strange, weird, ghostly, crazy, spooky, and odd things that take place around us each and every day. All while having a little bit of fun. This is the Sandy and Toddcast.
It is the Sandy and Toddcast. She is Sandy.
He is Todd.
And she's got the vid. We could, I mean, that's a perfect name for this one.
She's got the vid. Yeah. There you go. I have the vid. Yeah. I tried so hard to not get the vid, and yet I have the vid. And it's funny because I get the variant that doesn't care whether you're vaccinated or boosted. It doesn't really matter.
Well, and that was bound to happen. I mean, here's the thing. I think early on we were careful, and then, we kind of loosened our reins a little bit because we were, whatever. And I just think it's funny that if it's true the way you got it, which, there's kind of a progression of this person had it, then somebody got it, then Dave got it, then you got it, or whatever.
Yes.
It wasn't actually anything you did other than being married to David. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So at that point, you can pretty much say, David, this is done. You're done.
Dave, my head's going to blow off now. It's my turn. Oh, my gosh. We were just talking about that before we recorded, how some of the stuff I do, you can't believe Dave's head hasn't exploded off yet.
We were talking about a certain thing you guys are doing this weekend and the cost of it and all that. And I just said, listen, the reason why he hasn't lost his shit is because he's been preparing for this for how many years now have you guys been together?
Oh my God. We've been together like 20 years.
Oh my God. You guys will have your little, what is it? Silver anniversary soon?
Well, we've been together 20 years and married for 17.
Okay. Well, it's still up there. That's a long goddamn time.
It was so funny when we were actually dating like 2 years when he proposed, and neither one of us really thought we were ever going to get married again. It's our second wedding for both of us. And I never really thought about it. You know how you're cute and you talk about, if we get married, but not really ever thinking that you're going to actually get married.
Right.
But then he proposed to me, and it was kind of like out of the blue. And I said, yes, obviously. And I said, when do you want to get married? Now, this was in February. And I said, when do you want to get married? And he said, how about May? Now, do not tell any woman. I don't care if it's her sixth marriage. Do not tell any woman, let's get married in 3 months. Because you know what? It ain't going to happen.
Why?
So
though?
I laughed.
Why? I mean, if it's just going to be a simple little get together, why couldn't you just do that?
But it couldn't be, because my first marriage, which was an absolute train wreck.
We should do an episode on that. We should do a whole season on your first marriage. That would be fun.
Oh my God, it was awful. And it was so stupid. You do such stupid things when you're young. I wasn't even that young to begin with. And,
just stupid.
Just stupid. I was just stupid. And we ended up going to Las Vegas and getting married. And we got married in Vegas, which in and of itself was enough for a whole episode because it was freaking hilarious. But we stayed in Vegas for 8 days. The vacation was amazing, but the marriage didn't even last a year. So anyways, I never really had a wedding. So I thought, okay, well, if I'm getting married, let's have a wedding. So he said, how about May? I said, think again. So he says, how about like October? I said, think again. So we ended up getting married a year later on May 21st in 2005, almost to the day of our first date. Almost to the day.
See, that's kind of nice, right?
I really wanted, our first date was on the 17th of May. And I really wanted to do that.
How do you remember that crap? I don't understand how people remember crap like that.
Because I do. Actually, he used to write stuff down too. He's got like all these little notes and stuff. It was very cute. And so it was like a Wednesday. Nobody gets married on Wednesday. So we were like, well, screw that. So we did Saturday, May 21st. So that was it. So, you know, he knew right from the beginning that that was it. So yeah, 17 years in May, we just celebrated.
It's so amazing. I'm just so amazed.
He puts up with me. He puts up with me.
He certainly does.
Patience and a calmness about him. You put up with me.
I know.
You put up with me too.
Here's the thing. I don't live with you. That's number one.
True.
And number two, I don't get to see your mom that often, so I can't see what you'll be like in the future, because that's the way.
Well, you never dealt with her enough.
You never met my mom, so you don't know what I'm going to end up being like in the future too. Between my mom and dad, I'm just going to be a royal mess when I.
Well, you already kind of are.
Well, yeah. I mean, I agree with that, but
you know what's funny about it is we call each other a hot mess, and that's why probably we're still such like BFFs, because we are hot messes. And in a weird way,
listen, I am not a hot. No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
You're kind of. You're a lukewarm mess.
Well, I might be lukewarm, but you. Listen, I've had my share of sickness in the last year and injuries,
yes.
But now you're getting up there with the vid and all that kind of stuff.
I know. The eyes.
Yeah. The eyes and the vid and the breasts and the vagina and all that kind of stuff. You throw that all in, and I think you're the one that takes the crown on that.
We're getting old, Todd. Jeez.
Yeah.
You know, in all seriousness, I was thinking about the last year or so and how much you struggled with illness in the past year or so, and how good it is to see, like, when we came out, and yeah, I know your knee and everything, and you're still dealing with all of that with your leg and still healing. It hasn't even been a year yet, but how well you looked when we were out there last month, and how much fun we had, and how we were able to do all the things we wanted to do. You know, I'm very, very grateful for that. Very grateful for that, for your health, because it is an important thing. So
since I don't know what this podcast is about, you want to bring up the topic today?
Yes. Well, I wanted to talk about two things. There is a lovely woman who is a follower of our podcast, and I won't name any names, but she's a very lovely woman. And we have several lovely, lovely, wonderful people who follow us.
Absolutely. We love them all.
And we're grateful and thankful for everybody who interacts with us, who follows us, who has a good time with us, and really gives us some thought-provoking questions. And so this wonderful woman, who I consider to be now a friend of mine, messaged me the other night and told me a story about some recent trauma she had gone through. And it wasn't just her trauma. She wasn't the single person involved in this trauma. There was a lot going on around her. There were children involved and adults. Sorry, I'm going to take a drink.
Go ahead.
She was having a really hard time, because she is an empath. She was having a really hard time making sense of all of it, and her fear and her anxiety and what she was dealing with, and trying to process through it, knowing that she was taking on the fear and anxiety and terror of all these other people, including children. And she said, I just need some guidance. Like, what do I do? And I don't profess to be any kind of a real expert, only in that I've lived it myself and I've been through it numerous times. And it's not something that you can just deal with overnight. It's something that you experience several times in your life. And the more you experience it, I think the, excuse me, the better it is to manage, but you have to learn how to manage it. And my advice to her was learning how to compartmentalize and really learning how to sit down and take some self-care time and think through it and think, okay, what are my feelings in this situation? Excuse me again, guys. And what emotions and feelings am I taking on from everyone else? Because the important thing to learn as an empath is that even though you may take on these other emotions and feelings, it's not your responsibility to bear that burden of those emotions and responsibilities. You can be there and you can help and you can be that guiding light and you can be that calming light, but it is not your responsibility or your burden to take on those emotions and those feelings that those other people are feeling. That's for them to sort through. You're just a guide as an empath. And it's so important to understand that you have to compartmentalize. You have to discover what anxiety and fear is yours and what anxiety and fear belongs to someone else. You and I went through that when you were sick because I was literally taking on some of the symptoms that you were having. I was getting these headaches and I was getting these feelings of illness, and I didn't at the time understand it until towards the very end, at which point you were starting to feel better, and so was I. And I think that was one of the biggest lessons I learned, is that I have to learn to compartmentalize. And ever since then, I've been working really hard to do that. So I said to her, figure out what your feelings are and what the feelings are of those other people, and then meditate on it. Use your crystals. Everybody's a little different. Use your sage if you need to, but wash those feelings away. It doesn't mean that you're not there for everybody else, but you're putting them aside because they don't belong to you. They're not your responsibility. That's not your cross to bear. And then it helps you open up a little bit and give yourself more room to deal with what you're going through, to process what you're going through, to be able to help yourself. Like we talked about a couple of weeks ago, when you're on the airplane and they tell you, if you need the oxygen mask, put your own on first before you help other people.
Right.
That's the same idea. You have to do it. You have to separate your true feelings from those of everybody else. It doesn't mean that you don't care. It means that you care a lot, and that's why you're doing it.
And please understand, sometimes that's not easy. Sometimes, especially if in the past you're prone to picking up other feelings, or you've had, even bouts of depression and stuff like that. It's tough to determine what is yours and what is somebody else's. But seriously, sitting down and going, okay, why might I be feeling like this? What in my life might be making me do this? And unless you can really pinpoint the things that would make you feel those emotions and that kind of stuff, it's likely from elsewhere.
That's right. And it's an acquired, almost like a skill, Todd, because you really have to learn it with time. I didn't have any idea when I was going through that when you were sick. I really had no idea until about halfway through it that maybe, hey, wait a minute. There's no reason for me to have this headache. There's no reason for me to feel like this. Why am I feeling like this? It takes it's something you have to learn how to do. But in the end, it's worth it, because the more you can separate your feelings from those of other people, the more you can take care of yourself, and then the more you can help others. So just wanted to mention that, because I think it's super important for us as empaths, any of us as empaths, to really concentrate on that. I did send her a copy of a class that I had taken about being an empath and how to compartmentalize. And the class helped me a lot, so I'm hoping it helps her as well. And so I just wish her lots of love and the best of luck to her. And anytime somebody has a question or wants to reach out, like I said, I'm not an expert, but I can go from my own experiences. And I've had some pretty deep experiences with this kind of stuff. And so, everybody's different. But what I can do is tell you what worked for me, and then you can tweak it for whatever you need to tweak it.
Well, and as an empath, we're used to people reaching out, and sometimes it's a matter of them basically saying, "I'm feeling this and that. Is that normal?" kind of thing, and just being able to say, "Yeah, it kind of is," and here's why, or here's what you can do, can make all the difference for that person.
Without a doubt. And, one of my favorite things is when people message us and tell us that we've made a difference for them in some way. It doesn't matter what it is. In some way, we've made a difference for them, because that's why we do this. And it's, having a podcast is not easy. We have to schedule time, and we're both very busy, and it's hard for us. But if we can help just one person feel better about their life, it's really worth it. So on that note, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's reached out to us over the last, what has it been, Todd? 2 years? Year and a half?
Year and a half, maybe.
Yeah, like year and a half. And thank you. And feel free to reach out to us and let us know what you like and what you don't, or if there's something you want us to talk about. We're more than happy to do that.
And having said that, the big announcement today is that the Sandy and Toddcast is going away. So for the year and a half that we've been together, we want to thank you. But from here on out, it's just Sandy. It's the Sandy Cast.
It's the Sandy Cast. How many times have you threatened me with that? You told me that. I'm gone. I'm out of here.
When was that? I don't remember that.
I don't know. You've done that a couple of times to me. Just busting my chops. Just kidding around. I know you love it.
You're just chipping away at the ham. That's all you're doing.
We're just chipping away at the ham. What did I say this morning?
Chugging along. I'm just chugging along. I said, how you doing? Something.
Just chugging along.
Yep.
So I knew there was something wrong with you this morning when you said, "Good morning, beautiful." And I'm like, oh boy, what's wrong with him today? Although that was probably sarcasm.
No, I was checking in on your health. I was worried about your sickness and your vid and,
Actually, I'm very fortunate that with all things considered, it's just like the flu. So I'm just a baby. It's
been a little bit longer than the flu, but hopefully things will start wrapping up shortly for you.
Yeah, it's getting there. I'm off of the CDC says you have to isolate for 5 days, which I've done. And now you have to wear a mask for 5 days if you go out in public, which I don't intend to do anyway. So I'm basically isolating for 10 days. We're going to be at camp this weekend. We're recording this Thursday.
Yep.
So we'll be at camp this weekend. So no show next week before we get into the main topic today. No show next week because I will be on vacation. Should I put that in there?
Yeah, why not?
Did we discuss that?
No, but that's good for me. That's good for me. That works.
We'll take a break?
Yeah.
We'll just take a break?
We'll take a little break. As I told you just moments ago, this is just a ploy from her to make you think that we're continuing on. But actually, this is our last podcast.
Oh,
and when she says she's going on vacation, it's for a very long-term situation.
Code word.
She's actually being put away. They're going to wrap her up.
Brain fog. I don't know what we talked about.
They're going to wrap her up in one of those straitjackets and throw her in one of those or those cages at the cages that they put the people in at the asylum.
Oh, the Utica crib.
The crib. Yeah, they're going to put you in the Utica crib. And Yep, and then I'll come visit every once in a while once we know the COVID's gone. And I'll throw
that's good because
I'll throw some breadcrumbs at you. I'll throw you some breadcrumbs at you so that you can stay,
Well, I couldn't remember what we said we were doing next week. Okay, guys.
We did, but that's good. There you go.
So there you go. We won't have an episode next week. I might throw something in just for fun, maybe just a rehash of something. But no new episode next week, just for a quick break. And I guess we're taking a break in between.
In between?
in between instead of in between seasons this time, we're taking it in the season.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
So no new episode next week, but we'll still be around.
We'll see.
And okay, so here's the main thing I just wanted to talk about quick today.
Okay.
Because I'm always inundating you with different places that I want us to go on vacation, correct?
Yeah, every week it's a different location.
Right.
Every
So
week
far
it's a different time of year. Every week it's a different price point. I mean, I don't know if I'm coming or going at this point.
We've discussed, what have we discussed? We've discussed Colorado, which I definitely want to do because I want to go to the Stanley Hotel together.
Yeah. Michelle Bellinger's thing in Ohio.
In Ohio. And then, which I think we're going to do next year, though. Not necessarily that bed and breakfast, but we are going to drive out halfway each and meet there for a weekend, for a long weekend, before you come out next year. And then we've talked about New Orleans. And let's see, where else? I think Charlotte, because our dear friend Holly Hughes is out in Charlotte. Although she says it's boring there and she wants to meet us somewhere.
I think we should go to Savannah.
Yes. So here's the thing. You asked me I asked you what you were doing. You said, I'm watching classic Ghost Hunters. And I said, oh, Dave and I just did that the other night. And you were talking about one of the episodes.
Yep.
That was really crazy down in Savannah. And I was telling you how Savannah is just, the entire city is one large walking piece of energy. I mean, you're literally walking on graves when you're in the city. And so I said, and of course at one point, and it's still a small possibility, but at one point Dave and I were pretty sure we were going to relocate to Savannah when he retired. But with the current state of everything, it looks like that may not be happening, which is okay. We'll still visit. But I said to you, let's go to Savannah for vacation. And at some point, and you're like, okay, maybe we'll do that. Well, then it got me thinking, because I said to you, before we go anywhere that's not either here where I am, because I already know people and we belong to a group, you and Dave and I, or before we go out to Wisconsin, if we go anywhere else, let's see if there's any groups in that area that we can contact ahead of time, get to know, and sort of see if they would be open to maybe letting us in on an investigation or something down there. And it kind of got me thinking, because in the animal rescue world, animal rescue and advocacy that I've been involved in for many, 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 many years now, there's sort of this competition that goes on in some places. Not everywhere, but there's kind of competition. Whereas I look at the big picture and I think to myself, aren't we all in this for the same reason, to save animals' lives? But there tends to be some competition. You know, you scheduled this fundraiser on the same day that I scheduled this fundraiser, and, you know, this and that. I've heard stories of one rescue stealing the donation jar of another rescue. It's just crazy, crazy stories. And I've sort of heard a little bit in the paranormal community about groups who are a little more competitive than maybe they should be. Now, in my opinion, I don't care when I go into a location that has activity. I don't care if I'm the first person. I don't care if I'm the last person, because chances are it's going to not change that much. Now, my only thing is, if I'm going to be someone who goes in, you know, the 15th time, as opposed to the first time, I may want to know what the other groups are doing, because I would like to know how to adapt my investigation to what it may be the 15th time somebody gets in there. Because I think you do handle it differently. We noticed that with the Kindred Spirits episode at the Sheboygan Asylum. You know, they went in and treated the energies, the spirits, a little bit differently based on what prior knowledge they had of investigation.
Right.
In the asylum. And so I think that there is such a good place for healthy partnership between groups. And I think the majority of groups are very, very welcoming of each other and very happy to share information and talk to each other. But I've also noticed, I've heard a few stories here and there, I won't get so specific, of groups that sort of don't like each other, and this one did this and this one did that. And I just wondered what your thought is on that. Do you think, have you ever noticed that amongst groups? And do you think there's a place for competition amongst groups in the paranormal community?
Well, and I've seen this kind of stuff happen before to a certain degree. I think the first thing you have to ask yourself is the competition or the backbiting or whatever you want to call it, is it two groups that are in the same place in their path of investigating? And what I mean by that is apples to apples. So like, you and I belong to apps, and Dave belongs to apps, and we have our little side group that's, gone out to a couple of things this past summer. It doesn't have an official name or anything.
We're working on it.
Friends of Ghosts is the name.
Friends of Ghosts. Future Ghosts.
Fog. Friends of Ghosts.
Fog. That says it all.
So, but we are very like-minded in the way that we investigate in our thought processes. And we're also open to other suggestions within that group of people as to theories and ideas and all that kind of stuff. We may not think of the same things. We may not necessarily 100% see things that way, but there's a respect there. And overall, the way we investigate, you, Dave, and I, is very similar to the way the folks at apps investigate. Yep. So that would be comparing apples to apples. And I think there's less competition or backbiting with groups that are apples to apples than if you see apples and oranges. There are some groups out there that are investigating for TikTok videos or for, we are not the same kind of investigators that ghost adventurers are.
Right.
And we've pissed and moaned about them on our podcast before and some other groups as well. And I think so. My thought process is, I think groups that are like-minded and are in it for the same reasons tend to have less backbiting, competition, whatever you want to call it. Now, if you're in a group and you just want to bitch, and you're jealous, okay, because there is jealousy out there for a lot of reasons. Jealous of the amount of equipment that some groups have, jealous about the amount of places they get to investigate and how often. Certainly if a group has any sort of pull in media, whether it's TV or film or whatever it is, there's some jealousy there. And that will always play a part in it. So I do see it, but I think it's usually between groups that are apples to oranges than it is apples to apples.
I know.
We had that one great investigator on. What was her name? She was with the was it the Paranormal Sisters?
Yes. Oh gosh.
You've got brain fog and I've got brain fog. Absolutely. Like,
wonderful.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Dr. Christy Sumner.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I am jealous of them because they've been to some of the best locations. Right. But like, I totally respect what they do. And like, if they said to me, Todd, you're thinking A, B, and C, what if you thought A, B, D? I would totally be down to consider that, So there's a little jealousy there only because, man, I wish I could do some of those, but there's more respect than anything else.
I think it's a healthy, fun jealousy.
Well,
like,
I'm jealous. I'm jealous of skinny people. Like, I'm jealous of a lot of people.
Yeah.
My whole life is jealousy.
But that was a great point that you brought up, though, is that there are two kinds of investigators.
Well, I think there's more than two, but certainly, yes.
Two big groups.
Yeah.
You've got your groups that, and believe it or not, I think our apps people will be discussing something similar to this on their next episode for Apps Alchemy podcast.
Cool.
So everybody check that out. But you've got your two big kind of factions. You've got the entertainment industry groups who are really, truly there for a different kind of passion that maybe you and I are there.
Yeah.
We're there because we have this passion to learn more, to understand more, to help more. Then you have your entertainment side, which, and again, as much as I laugh about the Ghost Adventures guys, they're laughing all the way to the bank because they chose the entertainment side and they do it well. They do it well. You know, Dave was talking the other night about it and he's like, you know, and Zach gets sick every single episode, but people love that. And that's the entertainment side of that. And that's fantastic. And then you have the side, like I said, that's just truly passionate about it and really wants to know more. And maybe doesn't stand in the limelight. The problem is, I think, at least in some respect, when you get at groups who want a little bit more of that spotlight locally or regionally or statewide, then that they're not getting. So in other words, you know, I just looked it up the other day, New York State, there's like a directory. And this by far is not the only number of paranormal groups in New York State, but this directory had over 200 paranormal groups on it.
Yeah.
And I mean, granted, it's New York State, but we aren't the largest state in the United States. And we have over 200 groups just on that directory, that one directory. And, you know, I get that you would want to be the first to get to somewhere. Okay. But see, I don't look at it that way. I look at it as I kind of want some people to be in there so I can kind of see what they got and then base my means of investigating off of the results that they got. So for example, we'll do an upcoming episode on this, but we just got done investigating in April the 1834 Herkimer County Jail, the APS team and my old team and the APS team. And we learned so much from that investigation that as we poured through the evidence and went through all of our experiences, now it looks good that we may be getting to go back in there maybe next year, which could possibly be when you come out. Now we kind of have a different way that we're going to approach it because we learned so much the first time. And unfortunately, a lot of times you're only given one shot. You don't get two shots at a place. So I'd like to go into a place and be able to learn as much, put myself in a position where I can learn as much and help as much as I can right from the get-go. You know, I can kind of get an understanding of what I'm looking at. Now, that's a little bit different than going in cold, because when I go into a place, I do like to go in cold. I don't want to know necessarily all of the specifics of what happened historically in a place. But I would like to know, you know, did they have a certain method of how they investigated, and maybe was it good for them? So maybe I should try something else, you know, do something. I should change it up a little bit. So not necessarily specifically looking for what evidence they got. I don't need their EVPs. I just need to know maybe, you know, we can ask Sue, who is our researcher in apps. Okay, did you look at this? And did you see like where they were having good and bad? You know, it's a good thing. You don't necessarily always have to be the first person in there. We were the first person in a library, and I felt like we were kind of flat that night because I don't think that the spirits really knew what to do with us.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think they understood completely what we were doing. And I know a group went in after us and had much better luck than we did. So it's a learning experience.
I will just say this, and I know that, you know, we got to wrap things up here shortly, but one of the things, I've been watching these classic episodes of Ghost Hunters. One of the things that I really like is they've got some of the big places, but then they're doing homes and they're helping people in that situation. Mm-hmm. I'm more like excited about going into a location because nobody else has been there. Again, not because I've got to be the first in that location, but because nobody even cares to be there. I don't need to go to the big spots. Everybody's doing that. Let them investigate that.
Let them go to Waverly. Let them go here.
I want to go check something out that nobody wants to make the time to go investigate, but in some way, shape, or form, maybe by going, we get some answers. Yeah, and you and I are going to be doing an investigation very soon for a friend of ours, and we're going to do it with you there and me here.
Yes.
And so we'll see how that turns out. I'm actually really looking forward to that.
So am I. This is something we've never done before. I mean, we kind of did a little bit.
A little bit.
Year.
I mean, we did some investigating and some research and stuff like that.
Yeah, a little bit of remote kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I think we came up with some answers. This one I think will be kind of interesting. So we'll fill everybody in at some point. I'll have them send a release form so we can talk about it on the podcast and stuff. Maybe we'll even have them on as a guest.
That would be that would be chaotic and great all at the same time.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show Joe Schmo and Sally Jean or something, whatever their names are.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, sorry to go off on a tangent with that, but I just, I would hope I would be very welcoming of other groups. We had, when we did our fundraiser for the Herkimer County Jail last week, we had 2 local groups come in. One that I've known for many years, and they're all wonderful people, and one who is brand new to me. They've been around for a few years, but they're brand new to me. And I met one of their investigators, and excuse me, totally welcomed both of them to our fundraiser. Both have investigated the jail and welcomed them with open arms because I think that there's a place for community in the paranormal community. I just think that, we all are there for the same reasons, hopefully.
And if not, you do your thing, I'll do mine. Just, stay out of my way so I don't have to hurt you. That's all I'm saying.
And I'll stay out of yours.
Yep, exactly.
All right. So it's time for the quick spiel. Thank you, everybody. Here's our spiel.
You can find the Sandy and Toddcast on any of the platforms that you normally find your podcasts, including YouTube and Twitter. Be sure to like the Sandy and Toddcast on Facebook to keep up on the latest goings-on, including each week's episode. You can also join our group, Stay Weirdos Friends of the Sandy and Toddcast, for more fun. Stay Weirdos is a safe place to share your thoughts, feelings, ideas, and random inappropriate memes without judgment. Sandy and Todd also have a podcast called The Empathicary Podcast. It's for empaths, by empaths. And if you know an empath, you might want to listen too. Find and like the page on Facebook. And finally, if you're thinking about starting your own podcast and just aren't sure where to start, Sandy and Todd can also help with that too. MindgardenMedia is their latest project where the dynamic duo can guide you every step of the way in your podcasting journey. Editing, producing, and consulting is what they do. Like MindgardenMedia on Facebook or email them at themindgardenmedia@gmail.com. And as always, thanks for staying weird.
Dan Woodward is the gentleman who does our spiel. Thank you, Dan, for that. We appreciate it.
Dan.
Thanks for listening into the podcast once again. As we mentioned earlier, this is our final podcast.
It is
next week, there'll be no podcast. And then after that, it's just going to kind of fade away.
Stop lying, everybody.
Fade away. It's just going to go away.
It's a good chance for me to finally completely recover and go on a little vacation.
I'm sensing it. My psychic energies are kicking in. You're going to be hanging on to the cough for like 6 months. Oh, it's going to be 6 months. You'll be talking in the, somewhere down the road.
I know.
It'll be that.
It's awful. So
She's got the vid, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Welcome to She's Got the Vid.
Yay.
And our contestant this week is Cassandra.
All right. Well, we love you guys. Thank you so much. I love you, Todd. And I like your shirt. He's got on a t-shirt with the Ghostbusters thing.
Yes, absolutely. All right.
Very
until
cute.
Next time. Bye.
Bye.